That's right.
What's up?
In the corner.
What's going on?
Oh, you know.
I'm doing great. I like it.
Fantastic.
All right, so nothing new as far as injuries. We're still going through that. We'll see how that goes, and in regards to 17 and with Prince, with Anthony and Prince. So we'll got some good weather outside today. Looking forward to a good practice, and just ready for a tough opponent here who's coming off a close game and a game where they're putting up offensively a bunch of yards, a bunch of points. So it'll be a big challenge for us, and we know that, and so we want to have a good week of practice.
Will those guys participate today?
I'm not sure yet. Right now it's up in the air, so we'll have to see and know more here after practice.
What role does the bye week next week play in your thought process with these guys?
It's good. It's good to have. I've had the bye week where we've had it at this week 4. I've also had it where you've had it at week 10. I've known both. There's pros and cons to each, so it is nice when you have a long preseason like we did to have that bye week right now. Give the guys a little refresher. I'll tell you the other part too that's good is as a coaching staff for us to be able to kind of recollect and figure out, are we doing things the right way? How can we fix things in our side internally with the mechanics of things, being a first-year staff? So that'll be good too. So it'll be good all around, and then it'll be a nice little long stretch there afterwards.
Specifically with the 2 injured players, does the bye week affect your thought process?
I think it would help. Again, I'm not. You would think with their situation, again, we'll have to kind of get a feel for each day as they go here. But anytime you have a bye week and you have guys that have injuries in particular, whether it's a soft tissue injury or not, it'll always help.
Matt, are you expecting to face Ryan Fitzpatrick Sunday or Jameis Winston?
We're not sure. I mean, I think that we could end up seeing Ryan. But I don't know. And what they've done so far with him is very impressive. And then for him to have, a rough first half there with turnovers, you want to talk about next play mentality. I mean, he just came out and just kept throwing the ball up and down the field and making plays, and you got to love that about a quarterback that does that. So we'll see. I don't know that, and I know that Vic will have those guys ready for both.
So how does that affect your preparation when you don't know? I mean, Cutter says yesterday we're not going to divulge who's going to start for us. I mean, how much do you prepare for Jameis versus Ryan?
Well, I think you need to try to figure out and maybe guess which one you think you're going to see more of. Obviously, there's tape this year of what they're doing with Ryan, and then there's plenty of tape of previous years with Jameis. So, Vic will have that all set. They're both really good quarterbacks. Ryan, right now, the way he's playing, obviously, he has them as the #1 offense statistically with yards per game. He's doing a good job with them. So we have to prepare for that, and then we need to be able to adjust if it is Jameis.
In your experience, does that gamesmanship ever make a difference?
Not necessarily. I mean, you understand. You certainly understand completely as to why they would hold that back, but I think to each their own on that. Some may care, some may not, and for us, again, we can't control that. So all we can control is the schemes that we run defensively. And then, they have a lot of great players other than just the quarterback.
I know you're not going to reveal, but do you privately have a preference on which quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not. Yeah, you probably won't get an answer on that.
When you got here and were introducing us to your offense, you spoke a lot about how intense it is for the quarterback in terms of pre- and post-snap decisions. How is Mitch evolving through that part of it?
He's doing well. I'll tell you, he's where I thought he would be at. But what I'm doing now is understanding what those plays are that he's doing well with that might have been different with me in the past. And what's neat is that there are concepts that weren't as good to us in Kansas City that are good here, that are working. And so I'm learning that. And now those are the ones that I'm going to start to go to because I see that. And vice versa. There's some that we did well in Kansas City that might not be as efficient now. And so I have to adjust how I do that. And that's okay.
In terms of his mind and his clarity out there, how do you go about balancing making sure that your offense still has the designed advantages, but making sure that Mitch is comfortable exploiting those and he's clear enough to exploit them?
We can't put him in a situation where we're trying to do too much and we take away from their talents. our players, all of them, not just the quarterback. So if we're doing too much, making them think too much, they're going to play slow, and they're not going to be efficient. So that's part of what we're doing, what we get paid to do as coaches is to know what that balance is, and then we need feedback from the guys. And as long as we feel like the feedback is good and they're okay, then we'll continue doing what we're doing. But, you know, it's about production, and you have to produce and you have to score points. And if you're not producing or you're not scoring points, you got to dig into the why part. And so we know right now offensively that we're not where we want to be, but we're not in any type of panic mode because we understand that that part of the process, but we're going to do everything we can to try to get better.
Matt, along the same lines, how do you balance taking shots downfield with being careful with the ball, and how do you convey that to a young quarterback?
Well, I don't think you stop. I don't think regardless that you stop. It's the same thing in basketball. If Steph Curry's going to miss 12 threes in a row, I guarantee you he's going to shoot that 13th. And that's just what they talk about and what we talk about. So we're not going to stop being aggressive when we can. And then for us, it's teaching moments of you know, how did we miss it? Was it the throw? Was it the route? Was it the release? Was it protection? There's a lot of variables that go into a successful play.
You said you think Mitch is where he's supposed to be at this
Yeah.
point as far as his learning curve. What about the entire offense? Are they where you thought they'd be?
Yeah, I think so. Where we're not is in the red zone. I think we could be more efficient there, more productive. And that, in turn, if you start getting touchdowns and helping your defense out and getting points on the board, then it'll cover up some of the other stuff that gets magnified because we're not producing points in the red zone. So I'd like to get better in the red zone. I feel like we've improved our third down, third and medium, third and short. But it's a changing game. I mean, every game is going to be a little bit different. And so the best part about our offense right now is those guys, the want is there, and they understand that it's, you know, they need to make plays as well. So they're hungry for that.
Coach, is Mitch diagnosing a defense the way you'd like him to?
He is. He's doing great with that. And he there's some times now where teams are going to show, you know, they might disguise their coverage a little bit, or they might have an unscouted blitz look that they bring. That's going to happen. That's what good defensive coordinators do. And then we take those looks and we throw it into the library and we talk about, hey, now, regardless of where the blitz is coming from in the future, on this play, if you do feel hot or you feel pressure, this is where you got to go. And he's never had that before in some of these opportunities. So now he's getting a chance to see it, and now it's the reactionary part, and that's what we as an offense want to grow better at.
Do you see at all when you watch the film that he is thinking too much?
No, I don't see that. I think that there's so many parts to the game. There's so much stuff on his plate where if he was thinking too much, then he wouldn't be taking some of these shots. He wouldn't be getting in and out of the huddle. He wouldn't be making the right ID calls with protection. So it's more so of him just getting some more reps at some of these plays, and then us and him collaborating as to which plays do we feel most comfortable with.
The last couple of weeks, you know, Mitch has talked about missed opportunities. I'm sure he will when he does here. Is there anything you have to do with him or say to him to make sure that he doesn't feel the weight of 3 weeks worth of that when he's going into his 4th game?
Yeah.
How do you get him to kind of?
Yeah, that's so. In so many of us have different roles and responsibilities, and in this sport at the quarterback position, there's immense pressure, and then especially with a great team like we have here in this great city of Chicago, there's a lot of people and a lot of people that care. And so it's easy to direct it at one person, and then you throw on top of that somebody that's a high draft pick. That's a lot of pressure, but that's okay. This kid, he's willing to take anything and everything on. I want to make sure that he understands that there's so many parts to this offense that take time, and as long as I can convey that to him, that the only thing he needs to worry about is what I tell him and how he's going at our pace. That's the only thing that matters.
Fight the urge to be protective of him. Like you said, a lot of people in town want to turn their fire to him.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you need to defend him more?
I don't think I need to defend him because he's a big boy. He understands it. He gets it. The kid's very mature, very smart, and he's mentally strong. This kid is very mentally strong. And so what I like to do is make sure that I'm there to help him through any of these times where, and it would be the same way if we were the #1 offense in the NFL. It would be the reverse of that. It would be, hey, let's understand that it's only been, 3 games. And so let's not get too high or too low one way or the other, and he does great with that.
And your attempt every week to design matchups or to set up matchups, What's a challenge for you against a zone coverage versus man-to-man where you're getting a matchup right there?
Yeah, I think that's this offense is great versus zone. This offense is great versus man. Now there's different types of zones and there's techniques within the zone, the way people do things, and defensive coordinators play it. So it's when you're dealing with zone, you're dealing with areas, and now so you're working with players, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, guys that need to be able to understand where those zones are and how it flows with the linebackers and where their responsibilities are. So there's a little more to it when you're running routes, but it has nothing to do with that they're playing too much zone or too much man.
In terms of the time required for this offense to develop, is that an element that factors into?
No, it's not, because we've been teaching them just as much zone as we have man.
What are some of the things that stand out about Tampa's defense?
About who?
The defense.
Yeah, so they're a defense that it starts with those two linebackers and then obviously with McCoy. I think they did a great job of getting some guys there on that front line, that defensive line now that get heat on the quarterback. They constantly bring pressure, and they can bring pressure with just 4 of them. They don't have to bring that extra guy, and so that's anytime you can get pressure with 4 guys, you have an extra guy in coverage, and they're able to do that. Those linebackers, in my opinion, are probably 2 of the best overall most complete linebackers in the game. They can thump you in the run game, they can cover you in the pass game, and they have experience. So tons of respect there. And then in their defensive backfield, they've had some injuries, and Grimes is back there. He's a savvy vet. He's got really, really good ball skills. And so we know that. I mean, the kid's been playing a long time, and then they got some young guys now with some injuries that are back there, so we'll get to see a little bit more of them on tape and study them. But they're a good defense that we know that we just, again, on both sides, let's just focus. We're at a point right now where we got to really just focus in on what we're doing and then adjust to how they're playing us.
Matt, one of the criticisms of I think of Trubisky so far is that we haven't seen anything special from him, something that really stands out. How would you respond to that?
Well, I don't know. I'd like to know what people's, what the special definition is. So, because there's special parts of the game that you see on TV where it's a special throw or a special catch. Somebody makes a one-handed catch, or they make I know this. I know he made a special throw to Trey Burton on a deep cross the other day that not many quarterbacks in this league can make. And so I'll take that as special. But he's doing special things in our offense at this position right now, at where we're at and how long we've been together or how short we've been together. To me, again, all he needs to worry about is what my special is. And so I'm happy with where he's at, and I know he's going to just continue to keep growing.
Matt, given the quality of pass rushers that you have, and for somebody who played the quarterback position, overall, what's your perspective on the Clay Matthews hit a game I was at this Sunday? I mean, the rules that have been sort of enacted this year.
Sure.
To that.
So it's obviously a gray area for folks. I think that right now with the refs and what they're being taught to call, it's not easy for them, but it's not easy for the players as well. So you understand that you can totally feel for where Clay's coming from with, the guy's playing hard. He's playing hard, trying to make a good tackle, something that he's done all his life. And now there is a new rule that's enforcing those type of hits on the quarterbacks, trying to protect that position. And so there'll be, I'm sure, I know there's lots of talk about it and what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing, and everybody's going to have their opinion. But the fact of the matter is right now that's the rule. And I guess over time, the more of these examples that we have, whether it's this year or next year, most likely next year, then they'll either adjust it or keep it, and then guys learn.
So how are you coaching your guys in that regard?
Just we had one last week with Khalil where at the end of the game, you kind of hold your breath because there was one where he hit the quarterback and you could see him kind of turn off to the side. And so I think these defenders are feeling it, and they're kind of anticipating it now, which is better. They're growing. I think it's the same thing with the helmet rule. The guys, I think the guys in the league right now are adjusting to it, and that's a credit to the players. So unfortunately, there's going to be some players and/or teams that are on the wrong end of it, and it's just going to be something that we need to kind of work through and just go by the rules.
You mentioned all the weapons Fitzpatrick has at his disposal. What strikes you about their group of receivers?
Well, they're different. So I was in Philadelphia when we drafted Deshaun. And so for him to be playing at the level that he's playing at right now, you saw that punt return for a touchdown that almost made a three-point game with more time on the clock. But so he can take it to the house any moment. And he's underrated as a route runner. He's a phenomenal route runner. Then you got Mike Evans, who can, he's so big, he can beat you with his physical size, but yet you saw he can go downfield, and his ball skills are amazing. He can make great catches, and that's been like that since Texas A&M. And then those tight ends that they have. So there's a lot of weapons there that are big targets mixed with some speed. And I think their coaches are doing a great job at putting those guys in great positions. And then Fitzpatrick he's letting it rip back there. And I was really impressed with him to throw those interceptions, one being a pick six, and to have pressure on him. He was getting hit pretty hard back there, and he never blinked. He never blinked. He just continued to just keep chucking it and throwing it, and I think that's a testament to who he is and where he's at right now as a player in this league.
Matt, you've mentioned a couple times about learning in the press conference. In your opening press conference, you had your book, things that you learned. How much more intense is it as a head coach learning now than it was as an assistant?
As far as everything or just the offense?
Everything that you...
Yeah, no, there's a lot of learning, and so I think some of it for me is it's by experience. So there's some things that go on within the game. There's some things that go on throughout the week that I learn through. And it's funny, every coach I talk to, and there's been a few, even just talking to Coach Wilkes the other day, but you talk to these guys, whether it's on the phone or on the field, or these second-year guys, right, that have, this is their now, so Vance Joseph in Denver, Sean McDermott in Buffalo. You talk to them, and the very first thing they tell you is, just get through this first year, and it's much easier. So the logistics of everything, how you run, everything that you do, this is my first time doing it. So what I do is if there's something that I think I could have done better, I'll just take it in my notebook. And then now next year when the season ends, now it's my second time, and so now I can become a better coach because of the experience. So everything I'm doing right now, it's everywhere.
Has that learning pace surprised you? Is it more?
No, No, it hasn't, because I think Coach Reed did a hell of a job of prepping me in so many different areas of running men and running an organization. When I say men, the team, so he's done a great job there. But then how to deal with people and relationships and how you deal with adversity. Coach Reed's been through a lot of adversity, and he's taught me not just in football but in life. And so when you have to have a tough conversation with somebody, as long as you're honest with them and you're real with them, then that's all that matters. And so week one, tough loss. Tough loss. It hurt. It stung, but that's the part of the callus. That's the part of the scars that we're going to get as a team. That's going to make us better and build our character as we go down the road here.
Before the last field goal on Sunday, when you initially kept the offense out on the field, can you walk us through sort of the evolution of that communication process and that decision-making process?
Which at the end of the game or the
last field goal to take the lead?
Yeah. There's some things that I'm not going to get into with that just for gamesmanship, but we ended up in that situation wanting to call a timeout because we wanted to make sure that we made the right decision. So. Were you satisfied with the way that all went? Yeah, I was okay with it.
Coach, what's your reaction to Khalil's? He played every snap last game. Are you surprised at all? I guess is the question by, how in shape he is and how effective he's being. People are saying he's the best defensive player so far this year.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised. The first time I saw him, from playing against him in person with pads for 4 years in Oakland, you know that he's a dominant player. You don't get to see him in person without the pads on. And the first time I saw him when he flew into here to Chicago the very first night, and I saw him in person and saw just the kind of the body build that he is and who he is as a player, I predicted that he might be in pretty good shape. And to see him go out and play that first game and play the way he played, I said, okay, this is just, it's really good. He's playing really well. But then to do it week 2 and now week 3, he's playing at a different level right now, and so it doesn't shock me. And I'll tell you why, because in practice, What he does in practice is he's just safer around the quarterback. He just doesn't touch the quarterback. And so Chase has had his foot stepped on a few times and a little ankle roll here or there light, but it doesn't shock me because he does that. He does it in practice.
Thanks, guys. Locker room's open, everyone.
Mitch, in the offseason, as Matt was explaining the offense to us, he talked a lot about how intense the offense was for quarterbacks in terms of pre- and post-snap decisions and things you got to see. Now that you've been through 3 games, how would you characterize the volume of information and the challenge of going through it all clearly, play to play?
Yeah, it's a lot. I would just say it's a working, growing process, and we're still trying to figure out all the ins and outs of the offense and what our identity is going to be as a team and as an offense. So we're just continuing to go through all the concepts, all the run game, pass game, and figure out what fits us best, what we're really good at, what we still need to work on, and what our go-to plays are. So we're working all the kinks, and we're just going to keep grinding, working hard in practice, and trying to put a good product out on the field. But it all comes down to execution and everyone be on the same page and playing fast.
That being said, on Monday, Nagy said that maybe you're overloaded. Maybe there's too much in your brain. Maybe they're giving you too much right now, and that they'll monitor that. Do you feel that way? He hinted maybe we'll scale things back, but we'll have to wait and see. How do you feel right now?
Yeah, I feel good. We have all those talks and that communication between me and coach, and I'm going to do whatever they decide as a coaching staff. So whatever they decide to put on my plate, I got to study. I got to do my job on the field, and if they feel like we got to pull back this week or next week or whatever it is and just simplify so we can play faster, they're going to do what's best for this offense and what they believe. But my job is just come here, work every day, and whatever they ask me to do, just do it to the best of my ability. And then they got to figure out what's best for this offense and this team, and they will. So we're all working through that. Coach Nagy always says first year in the offense is his first year as a head coach, so he's got a lot on his plate as well that he's trying to figure out. And I'm just still trying to master this offense one day at a time and figure out. And we're just going to keep going and grind away and figure this thing out.
Mitch, one of the things that Matt talked about was just trying to figure out the plays that suit you best, is that they might not be the same plays that worked for him when he was in Kansas City.
Sure.
What's the conversation like between you and all the guys in the quarterback room and trying to figure that out? Is it a negotiation? Is it an argument?
Yeah.
Is it a...
Well, Coach Nagy definitely has his favorites, and I have my favorites as well, and a bunch of those overlap, and a lot of those plays that are his favorites I still have to get better at as well. But I'm a rep person, so a lot of the plays that I'm good at, it's the ones that we've been repping since OTAs, training camp, and then we just got to get back to that, the bread and butters and the repetition plays. So and he knows that, so we're going to get back to that, throwing some new spices here and there, and just continuing to evolve throughout this offense and figure out what we're going to be. But it's just constant communication between me and coach, me being completely honest with what I'm comfortable with, what I'm not comfortable with, and having those conversations honestly. And then there's just no hurt feelings. So if he has a play that he's like, I wanted to run it, I'm going to make it work. And if I have a play that I really like, I have to communicate that so he can get it called. So it's just open communication, being honest, and being on the same page.
Is there any example through the first 3 games of a play that he wanted and you didn't want that worked really well, or that you wanted and he didn't want that worked really well?
Not that I could think of specifically. Usually if Coach Nagy wants a play, it gets called and it works. And it works. It would be more of my favorite plays that don't get called sometimes. But no, when Coach Nagy calls a play and he feels good about it, it's definitely going to work. So I'm just figuring out the plays that I still like, and just going through the more reps I get at them, the more comfortable we get with it. But yeah, Coach Nagy's definitely put us in a bunch of great spots. It's my job and our job as the offense, just go out there, execute, and make it work in the situations.
What are the challenges that you're going to see in this Tampa defense?
I'm sorry?
What are the challenges?
What are the challenges? Oh, they're a great defense. They play really solid all year long. They got a great front seven. They get after it up front. They get after the quarterback. And they got linebackers who can fly all over the field. So they're going to test us in the back end as well. So I don't think there's a weakness in one spot or whatever. They've had some injuries, so we'll have some different guys playing against us this week. But we got to be ready for anything. And they've played solid all year long, so we just got to I'm more focused on us this week, what we got to do in practice, continue to get better within this offense, and I want to play fast this week. So getting out of the huddle and just go out there and execute the plays like we know how. But we got a lot of respect for the guys on the other side that we're going against this week.
Mitch, when you looked back at the third down sack on the first drive on Sunday, what went wrong in terms of picking up the pressure and what needs to happen from your end to keep that?
Yeah, for sure. O-line, we picked it up the right way. I was just looking the wrong side for hot, so I was going the other way when I should have been going left, and the ball should have went to Tariq on a hot throw. So something simple that I corrected later in the game when we got Tariq on a completion down the red zone, and he almost scored down there. So just learn from a mistake within the game and continue to watch it on film and correct it, and then just make sure I'm getting the protection calls the right way, so I do know where I'm hot and when I'm going when I am hot. So that's something I'm just going to have to keep getting better at within this offense. Corrected it during the game, and you'd like to see it corrected on the fly so you could just not come off the field on third down and put my kicker in a tough position right there, taking a big sack. So it's that one's on me for sure.
For those of us who haven't played quarterback in the NFL, how would you describe how would you describe the mental checklist that you have to go through and sort of consider on every play, whether it's feet, pocket awareness, things that are within the play? It seems very long and obviously a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, if me up here explaining it would be a headache, but I think you've been doing it for a long time, that some things you don't have to think about, the footwork, the rhythm, and especially in a new offense, sometimes you have to think about that, but when you're playing an offense for the same years over and over, you don't have to think about the drop, you don't have to think about where your guy's about to be. You're more just seeing the defense and where you're going with the ball. So those are some of the things I'm working through, but you absolutely got a checklist. You're getting the play, you're getting in the huddle, and it's all the way down to the detail about like where you're standing on the field when you're getting to play, where you're walking into the huddle. Are you exaggerating calls so guys know exactly what they're doing, getting to the line of scrimmage, mic protection, getting in the right call. Is it man or is it zone? What coverage are they in? Are they rolling? Are they blitzing? And what kind of concept do you get on? What footwork are you doing? Are you going through the right progression? All those types of things. And then you just take a deep breath and play football. So it's easier said than done, but like I said, we're still just in this process growing within this offense. And the more reps you get, the more you calm down, the less thinking you're doing, then you're just going out and play. So the checklist, I would say the more reps and more experience you get within an offense, that checklist gets smaller and smaller because some of those things are just, you don't even have to think about them anymore.
Right.
It's your coaches really had your back at almost every press conference. I just wonder what you think of that. Appreciate it.
I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me, especially how hard I am on myself and my play lately. He's had my back, and I love Coach Nagy for that. And he's just been very supportive. And I believe in him and this process and what we're going through. And we're gonna have a breakthrough. Who knows when? But it's gonna come, and I believe in that. And I just appreciate how he's had my back and the continuous conversations we've had throughout the week about that. He still believes I'm in a good spot. I'm still getting better. We still have to look at the improvements I have been making, not the mistakes I have been making. So just continue to go through this thing with him, learning and growing and getting better, and he's been awesome through this whole thing, so I just couldn't be anyone better leading this team here.
Mitch, I know when you were in college, you prided yourself on being a good student. You like to study. When you hear your coach say, maybe we got to pull back a little bit, maybe there's too much in his head, does part of that make you mad?
No, not at all. I mean, if a teacher goes, do you guys want an easy test? You're going to say, heck, less you got to study. So I'm going to ace this test. So maybe that's the comparison you make. We're going to pull back this week. Do I play faster? Do we play better? I guess we're all going to see. So like I said, I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do to the best of my ability. So I got to continue to study, and if it's not the plays, it's studying more film, studying more defenses, watching other guys across the league, see what I can pick up on. So I mean, the studying and the preparing and just trying to be the best you could possibly. It doesn't stop every single week just because they want to condense the game plan or play faster or this and that. So it doesn't offend me or affect me at all. I want to play well. So whatever they think is best for this offense, I believe in that, and that's what I'm going to do this week.
That being said, where are you with getting up there and maybe not having to think through the checklist as quickly or feeling more comfortable in knowing where guys are going to be in this offense?
Where am I at? I would say it varies between each play. Like I said, some plays I've repped a bunch, some plays I haven't, and that goes for me and the rest of the guys. So we're just going through this thing as a team and as an offense. And there are definitely areas we have to get better at. Third down is always a key one, and definitely in the red zone, it stands out. So that's going to be an emphasis for us this week, and we just need to continue to get better, execute, believe in the plan, and continue to have those conversations about what plays we really feel comfortable with, what plays we like, and me and Coach Nagy will go back and forth. And they're gonna dial up a great game plan. They've done that each and every single week, and it's up to me and the rest of the guys to go out there and execute it. So I think I would say it varies between each play, and that's how it goes. So you just gotta make everything you can work.
Mitch, you've talked a lot about taking care of the ball, but you've also talked about taking shots. How do you balance that in the heat of battle, and how difficult is that to do in a kind of a snap judgment type of thing? You just got to weigh it out. I would say you're always trying to take care of the football, but you got to have that aggressive mindset. You play to win. You don't play to lose. If that makes any sense. If you just want to give your receivers the best chance, go out there and make a play, and you're never putting your team in a bad spot by forcing things or making bad decisions. I think if you have good eyes, good feet, and are seeing it well, that you as a quarterback, you believe you can make any throw on the field. But if you're throwing in the triple coverage, if you're forcing the ball, and if you're just
just not doing the right things. I think that's when you can get in trouble and you kind of get away from being aggressive and not playing as smart. So you always want to take care of the football, but you have to be aggressive because we got to put up points as an offense. So that's always in the back of my mindset. But interceptions happen. It's just part of the game, and sometimes it's out of your control. As I've experienced, just some tip balls, and I feel like I've made good decisions for the most part. And we're going to continue to be aggressive and take shots, and you just got to believe that the next ones are going to fall, which we do.
Mitch, Matt described the 25-yard completion to Trey Burton as a special play. You know, which one I'm talking about, the one kind of trip. I'm curious, as you look back at that play, aside from just the fact it was a long completion, is there, do you get pride out of any specific element of the way that play played out?
I mean, it feels good. I mean, you don't get to see the end of the throw because you get hit and you're on the ground, but you're happy your guy caught it and got it out of bounds, and it's a big play for the offense, and it was a big play in the game, and we later go down and put some more points up. But I
executed it, or the way you saw it, or anything?
For sure. I mean, that's one of the plays I'm comfortable with, and I'm like, and one of the ones I repped a lot. So you don't have to think as much on that play. You know where the guys are going to be at, and you can just let your instincts take over. And that's kind of what I expect as a player and as a quarterback, to be able to make those types of throws and put it where your guys can make plays. So you just kind of expect that, and you want more and more of those every week. So for me, if that's considered a special play, quote unquote, I'm trying to make more and more of those every week to put my team in a great position. So that's what I just expect to do.
Mitch, I just want to ask you, if you were having to face your defense, which leads the league with 14 sacks right now, and a number of other categories, how would you define what they do really well and what makes them special?
They play together. So we've got a bunch of big names on our defense now, and everyone's kind of standing out statistic-wise, but they play hard and they play together. They understand the system, and Coach Fangio puts them in a great position each and every single week, and they believe in that plan, and they get up after the quarterback up front. Their preparation and their study throughout the week and how hard they work in practice, I see those things that not everyone else sees. So they're very well prepared each and every single week, and then you just combine that with the attitude and how hungry they are and the talent they have up front, the linebacking core and in the back end. It's a special combination, so I'm excited to see that in practice and the results on game day, and they definitely deserve everything they've earned this season, really.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.